So we're going in the direction of the cathedral now, and on the left we've got this really tiny church, which I'm now going to show you is quite well hidden. In fact, you wouldn't even know it was here. Walk past it and not see it. Now, can you see where it is? Probably not. Well, I can see where it is, but it's only because I know where it is. Now, can you see it yet? Possibly not. Still can't see it. Well, it's got a bin outside, and here it is. St. Mary the Less. Well, it's actually bigger. So you can see it out the back. It's not used as a church, hasn't been used for a church for many years, but it's on private hands, and that's probably where the bin's outside. You can't go in there, you're allowed in 1 week in September. It's now January, it's going to be quite a long way. So you just can't see much of St. Mary the Less. 13th century church. A lot what you can see is from the 13th century as well. The roofs in the 15th century, parts of the porches in the 14th century. Whichever way you look at it, it's still a very old church. Well, in front of me is the cathedral. It's not lit up at all. This is tombland, and it comes from an Anglo-Saxon word for market or something like that. In a way, it's the heart of Norwich, I think. I don't in fact say this is the city centre, but it's sort of the historical centre with the cathedral at the back, and it's wonderful architecture, which of course being night you can't see, but you can see them in other films I've done. From Pavels, named after Edith Pavel, who was a nurse who was shot during the First World War in Belgium by the German occupying authorities. She helped people escape. She helped everybody, not just Allied troops, but also Germans. And she was executed, probably unfairly, and she's now buried in Norwich Cathedral. The bottom down there, we've got this hostelry. It's now a pub, hotel, the Maid's Head, and that was linked to the Revolt of 1549, and some wonderful buildings on the left hand side, medieval, quite outstanding. Now you're going to have to see that though in other films of mine. During Kett's Revolt, this area here, strange, it was used by both the King's men and those of the people who were in revolt, but of course at different times. Somebody wrote to me and said it was pretty stupid to think that they would be sleeping next to each other before a battle. Well, it wasn't before at the same time. Now we have Tombland Alley, which is quite outstanding. 14th, 15th century. The building itself there in front is from the early 16th century, but really outstanding. And to the left, there's somewhere there, was probably an old synagogue, and bearing in mind that the Jews were forced out of Norwich in the 13th century, that shows again how old it is. Here we have the cathedral, founded in 1096. Can't see it. And by one Hubert de Losinga, who was a Norman, and he bought his job as a bishop, and the Pope ordered him to build a Norman cathedral. Where he got the money to do it from, I haven't got a clue, but something tells me the people who had to pay for it probably didn't have a lot of choice in the matter. I have calculated, back of the envelope, probably inaccurate, that the cost of that in today's money would be somewhere in the region of 15 billion euros, which is about 3 to 4 times more than the most expensive building in the world today. On the cathedral, the area around the cathedral, there's more people live here than any other cathedral in Britain, and it's I think it's got more people living around it. It's one of the highest in Europe anyway. I don't quite know which ones have got more. Isn't that that's a wonderful view of that building, friends? On my Facebook site, he posted a drawing he did of it when he was at school more than 30 years ago. He did a drawing of that. I don't know which building it was in, but I was very, very impressed to see it. So walking around here in the dark doesn't make much sense, because you can't really see anything. And so I'll walk back to somewhere where there's a bit more light. And I would like to say though, I mean, it is definitely worth coming around here when there's a bit of light. It's really, the cathedral's magnificent. I don't like the way it was done more than 900 years ago, but that's the way things happened then. The peasants were forced to give up their land and houses. They had to destroy houses, they had to destroy a couple of Anglo-Saxon churches as well to actually build it. I don't suppose they got any compensation for that either. Another thing that had to be done to actually bring the stone here, because the stone comes from Normandy, they had to build a canal from the River Wensum to actually load the stone. I think, well, what was the point in that? Why didn't you just build it next to the river? I don't have an answer to that one. Now, the camera, I think it's a good camera, but it takes ages to actually focus. So if you suddenly see a giraffe driving a rubbish van, I can't film it because it just wouldn't focus. So I've gone through this magnificent Norman gateway with this Georgian terrace to my left, and we'll slowly make our way back to the bus station. Now, I did another film about walking along the river here. I mean, there's lots of other things I'd like to do, but there's time, and it's now January, and I'd be surprised if I've even posted this by next summer. So, takes me a while. I've got a big backlog of stuff, and it's finding time to actually do it, which is the problem. Put it together and then get an internet connection, which allows me to put stuff up. I'll tell you a little bit about 19th century fraud based on the building in front, but let's get a better view of the place first. It's Prince of Wales Road, and got this magnificent building now. You see, it's owned by it's occupied, I should say, by Savills, who are an estate agent. And this building here dates back to 1866. And it was built by the Harvey and Hudson Bank, and it was built to make a point that the bank was doing all right, and it's built in rather expensive Bath stone, and certainly the bank was doing all right because it appeared to be doing all right. However, one of the directors, he was up to no good, and he was opening accounts, or depositors' accounts. He was using their money to open up false accounts to share dealings and this type of thing. And in 1870, 1871, in fact the 1870s were a time of economic depression in many areas. The financial markets as such collapsed. His fraud was discovered and he shot himself. The bank went into liquidation. Barclays took it over, or the bank that became Barclays took it over. But they didn't need the building. The building was actually empty for some time. But it became a post office. In fact, it does say post office up there. You have to take my word for it because you can't see it right now. Anglia Television bought it. Now, for people of my generation will remember a program called The Sale of the Century, which was in the late 70s. And so if you say you live in Norwich, then you'd always get somebody saying, and now from Norwich, it's the quiz of the week. Sale of the Century with Nicholas Parsons and two lovely helpers. And that, I don't quite know where it was filmed from, but Anglia Television took the former bank building and then they linked it, that other horrible really I think, with a sort of a glass office bit. And they had it Anglia for a very long time. It just says Anglia Television on the front. So let's walk back to the castle area, Castle Meadow, and then I'm going to go back to the bus station. It's been almost 9 years since my first visit to Norwich in 2005. There's a company here brought me over from Warsaw to, I was supposed to run a magazine for them, and they really wanted me, I got the impression. Anyway, so the boss got his business partner to take me out for a ride around the centre in the car, and went around the centre, and it was very interesting. Anyway, then they picked another candidate. A couple of months later, they rang me up and said, "When can you? If you're still interested, when can you start?" And that's the way it was. When I first came here, I was quite depressed. Thought it was a bit of a backwater compared to Warsaw, and it was May as well. I mean, and that made it worse because the weather wasn't particularly good. And I could see how nice the weather was in Poland compared to here. But you know, when I walk around now, I think it's really good. I was here also in 2011, and I had to spend some time in Newcastle, and I thought Newcastle was great. And I came here and I called it boring Norwich, and I think I was wrong there, to be quite honest. Obviously being here in the winter is not the right time. Get nice weather, go out into the countryside around here. It's magnificent, the coast, the canals. It's really very, very attractive area. Well, I've got the castle to the left, but you can't see it, so I won't point it out. This is the papers being delivered to the paper shops. I used to be in that business. I had a paper round. I used to live in people's houses. And I earned £2.50 a week for doing that. That was really like my first steady job, to be honest. And from then, it's just been all downhill. See, there's advertisements for the Roman Empire, which is an exhibition in the British Museum. And so I'll be in London. I'll be in London today. I might even go down and see it. So there's one of the streets of the going down towards the market. Whereas the street layout is largely medieval to a certain extent. I mean, that's obviously been completely redeveloped. So, I was here nearly an hour ago, and now I'm just going to walk up to the bus station and get on the bus. If I'm first one there, I'll get the best seat if there are any best seats, and if I'm not, then I won't. But if you've lasted this long, thank you, and I hope it was interesting. See my other films from Norwich, also see my history site on Facebook. I think I've cut this a bit fine. It's 10 to 7 now. I was enjoying my walk so much. In fact, it's only because I was going to get a bit tired that I decided I had to come back. I've usually got a very good idea of time. But anyway, hopefully the bus won't have left yet. And as for me getting a good seat, I don't think I'm going to get one. I'm just going to get a rubbish seat.